Hi there, I've got a bit of a different one for you today, and I'm using all sorts of products, gilding flakes and gilding waxes for this one. I think it pops so pretty. I'll show you what we'll be using. Got a stack here. This is the Tasman Swirl, which matches our Melbourne dye. This is from the Australian collection, our Melbourne dye. I'm also going to be using the Maggie dye from the Frames and Tags. The Meaningful Sentiments, which is an A5 stamp set from Creative Expressions. And to do a little embossing, I have the Sea Garden, which is an A4 embossing folder from Creative Expressions. The gilding flakes and the gilding waxes I'll be using are the Gemstones, which is a beautiful mixture of reds. And then I've got an assortment of gilding wax here: Golden Light, Enchanted Gold, Deep Red, and Cast Bronze. And they'll mix and match with that assortment of gilding flakes really nicely. Okay, so first thing I want to do is some embossing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Sea Garden, a piece of black card. I'm going to pop that right into the center there. And the sandwich with the platinum machine is just to use the base that comes with the machine, the folder with the card, and the raspberry plate. Let's pop that in. Go. All right, gives a beautiful emboss. There's a lot of pressure on this machine, so it really comes out nice. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I'm going to use just the edges of this and do a little bit of our gilding wax on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take all the lids off of these, bring them over, and we're just going to start by adding with our fingers to the edges of the embossed card. I'm going to start with the Enchanted Gold on both sides. There we go. Just give it a rub. That'll pick up all that beautiful embossing. There. And then I'm going to just work from color down. I'm going to put a little Golden Light on and just give it a sort of a variegated look to it. Do both sides. There we go. I'm going to bring in some of the cast bronze, add some more color to that. Do this side. Let me get that top edge there. And make sure I've got it in far enough. There we go. And a little bit of the deep red here. Just add some highlights. And that'll pick up some of the red tones from our gilding flakes we're going to be using. Now let me check and make sure we've got enough of that covered. Yes, we do. I'm going to clean that off of my finger with a grind boss. And I'll just do a quick dry with a kitchen roll here. There we go. Okay. Put our lids back on. You don't want your gilding waxes to dry out. Pop these back into place. And there's the last one. And I'm also going to give this a little bit of a buff with the kitchen roll just to dry it a bit. There we go. Takes off the excess and shines it up too. There we go. Okay, clean off our mat, and I'm going to put a little bit of a mat down the center of that, and I'll just grab my double-sided tape. I've got a black mat with a little gold edge just as a highlight. Tiny bit more tape on both sides, and I'm going to put one in the middle just to make sure it sticks to the card really nicely there. Center that up. And that looks pretty good. Got a little bit of a fuzzy edge there. There we go. So now I've got the base piece sorted. So the next thing I want to do is to do some gilding with my stamp here. So I'm going to bring in the Flake and Glitter Glue. And I like to take it directly from the bottle and just put a little bit on some wax paper. Piece of cut and dry foam. And you want to make what I call a palette out of that. So just smooth it out so it's nice and even. And we're going to tap it onto our stamp. Now this is a glue, so you don't want to let it dry onto your stamp at all. Get it on there nice and good, and just make sure it's really nicely evenly adhered there. And my black card, here it is, okay. So I'm going to take the card to the stamp, give it a quick press, make sure I got all areas, and peel it off, okay. So now you can see there's a little bit of the glue you can still see here. This is not ready yet, so I'm going to set this aside, but it is important that you clean this glue off of your stamp. So I'm just going to use a grime boss and wipe the residue off of the top of the stamp here. If you're at home, run it under a tap and just make sure that you've got it all off of your stamp. There we go. That looks nice and clean, and dry it off nicely. Okay, that's very important. And while your stamped image is setting up, then you can go ahead and do that. So I want to, let's set this aside. That out of our way. I want to make sure this is ready to go. So you might even have to do what I call a little bit of wafting. You want it to be totally clear before you put your gilding flakes on. There's ever so slightly, little teeny bit of what I call like a whiteness to the glue there, but I think that that is probably close enough. You don't want to have a big gob of it in any spot, because that will smear. So we're going to bring over our gilding flakes, and let's just put a little bit of a piece of card below us. And you can see all the beautiful colors that come in that gemstones. And we're going to just put a little bit over here. Try and get it off of my fingers. There's still a tiny bit damp. That would be probably enough. Using a piece of Rubit Scrubit, we're just going to lightly adhere it, move it all around, and just make sure it's gotten to where the stamp is. There we go. And once we've got it attached, then you're going to just slightly refine it, and that's just a very fine circular motion all the way around, and that'll take off all the excess flake for you. And then we can just take that off of our card and do a little tapping, and you can see how pretty that stamp comes through like that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I'm going to go ahead and put this away and tidy up a little bit. I've already cut that using the Melbourne, so I'll show you how that looks. And let me just lid those up, and we'll just do a little bit of tidying. There we go. So using the outer cut edge and the inner circular cut edge, I've cut this stamp, so I have two pieces here, the outer ring and the inner ring. Okay, very, very easy to do. I've gone ahead and put a little bit of mounting foam on that, so we're going to bring our piece back. And what I want to do is take the Maggie die, which I've cut out of this beautiful gold card, and I'm just going to cut it in half, right down the middle. You can do this on a paper cutter if you like. It's not going to show. And we're going to use each end of that. So I'm going to peel off my little bits of mounting foam here. I've got them all cut into little sections, so they're going to support the circle nicely. There we go, one more. And I want to make sure that this will line up right about here and here. Oh, and I'll tell you what, this little piece is going to show, so we're going to nip it away on both of these. Just ever so slightly, and nip this one away. There we go. Okay, so I want to make sure it sits right about here and here. Get that as straight as we can. I'm going to pop this into place about like so. There we go. Okay, and don't worry about this part of it showing, because we have the centerpiece that we're still going to use. So let me grab a little bit of a, let's use this fine liner. I'll put a little bit of glue around the edge here. There we go. And that will pop down into the center of this one and cover that nicely. Now, let's just center that. Make sure we get that down into place. And while that's adhering, I'll go ahead and put it onto my base. I've done some matting and layering with the black card and the gold card just to bring it in and frame it so it all coordinates nicely. Bit of mounting foam. There we go. Center that. Right about like that. That's looking nice. And I've stamped my sentiment, and then what I've done is I've used the center circles from these two dies to create a little tiny frame around it in the gold as well. So got some mounting foam. Pop that right into the middle so you can see both of those really nicely. And there you have it. Absolutely gorgeous card with that beautiful gilding flakes and gilding waxes that match up so pretty together. I think anybody would love a card like this.